Factsverse presents Cops uncover a major secret when they impound one mother's car. Help us spread the word about Factsverse by clicking that like button, and also be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Ebony Rhodes is a mother from Atlanta, Georgia, and she struggled to care for her children financially and often works shifts at a local store to try and make ends meet. Ebony understood the importance of education, so she often would take her 4 children to the local library so that they could get their schoolwork done. She did everything possible to give her children a great life even though it was difficult at times. There was one day, though, where everything seemed like it was going wrong. Ebony was driving down the street when she saw a police car behind her. Next, the lights came on and she heard sirens. Ebony immediately began to panic. Her license was expired. She knew the officer would take her car. She was also hiding something she didn't want the officer to discover, and she was worried that he would, and so she started to cry. She continued crying while the officer walked over to her window. She hoped that he would take pity on her and that everything would be all right. Unfortunately, that was not what happened. Ebony was hoping that she'd be let off with a warning. Instead, her car was impounded and she was arrested. Her worst nightmare was coming true. A friend of Ebony's from work took her children while her sister traveled from Florida to take them while she was in jail. The police began to investigate the incident, and they searched Ebony's car. This was when Deputy Jeff Glazer discovered something. Everything the family owned was in the car, which showed the police that her family was living in the car. Ebony didn't have the money for a deposit on a new home, so they loaded everything in the car. Since Ebony couldn't find a shelter that would take the entire family, she decided that living in the car was their only option if they were all going to stay together. When the police impounded the family car that night, they were also impounding the family's home, making them homeless. Since Ebony went to work each day and each of her teenage children were keeping up with their studies, the people around them didn't know that anything had changed in their lives and that they were homeless. For 6 months, when Ebony would get off work, they would drive around trying to find a safe place to sleep for the night. The kids would play video games in the car, they ate in the car, and they slept in the car. Ebony knew that the conditions were not ideal, but she had to do what she had to do to keep her family together. When Deputy Glazer saw that the family was living in the car, he told his wife that he had to do something for them. This woman was trying her best, and she deserved a little bit of help. Deputy Glazer was raised by a single mother, so he knew how hard it could be. Fortunately, he knew somebody who ran a shelter, and they had room for the entire family. He couldn't wait to call Ebony to let her know. While getting the family into that shelter was the first step, Deputy Glazer thought that it wasn't enough. As he dug deeper, he learned a lot about the family. He found out that Ebony often got sick but had to go to work anyway to support her family. Her daughter suffers from lupus and has lost a great deal of vision in one of her eyes. Her son suffers from asthma and needs regular medication. All of this, on top of being homeless, put a lot of pressure on Ebony, and Deputy Glazer's heart broke for her. The oldest child, Calvin, often worked after school to make some extra money for the family. Deputy Glazer started a GoFundMe page for the family, and the crowdfunding site earned enough money that Ebony had enough for rent for an entire year, and other bills were prepaid. When their car broke down, there was enough money in the account for Ebony to buy a new one so that she could get back and forth to work. Deputy Glazer says that Ebony has an excellent work ethic, even though she is often ill. While Ebony thought that being pulled over would be the worst day of her life, it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to her. Deputy Glazer's kindness and thoughtfulness changed this family's life for the better. Subscribe for more.